If you love cooking and good food, then Andy Cooks might be one of your favorite YouTube channels. Andy Hearnden is the man behind this popular channel. His story is quite interesting. In this video, I'll tell you about Andy's love for food and cooking, how he dropped out of school, attended a chef school, and made a career in cooking. I'll also tell you how he became a successful content creator after losing his job. So, now let's start from the beginning. Andrew Hearnden was born on October 5th, 1985 in Wellington, New Zealand. He grew up on a poultry farm there. He was raised by a single mother and is the youngest of the three brothers. Andy's mother was a home cook and was into home cooking and home baking. Food played a pivotal role in his upbringing. Andy was into riding bikes and was obsessed with food as a kid. He used to play with plastic food, have a toy kitchen, and wanted to grow up to become a chef. At 3, he started helping his mother in the kitchen. At 10, Andy, along with his mother and stepfather, Paul, moved to Auckland to run a branch of his grandfather's Turk's poultry farm. Andy started working in the kitchens in Auckland at 13 and lived in that city until 20. Andy used to suffer from dyslexia, struggle with writing, and was terrible in school. So, he dropped out of high school at 16 and went straight to Auckland Hotel and Chef's Training School in Newmarket, where he studied Level 4 cookery in the year-long intensive degree. Later, Andy worked in a neighborhood restaurant, then went to Europe before settling in Australia. His chef career spanned over 2 decades. In 2020, Andy was working as head of food and coffee at Emirates Leisure Retail in Australia, but lost his job due to the COVID. At the time, his wife Caitlin had a big contract with Specsavers, but it was evident that the contract wouldn't get renewed. So, both of them packed the car and moved from Melbourne to live with Caitlin's parents' house in Sunshine Coast, Queensland. Then, for the next 6 months, they didn't do much except camping and beach trips. At the time, jobs weren't available. Then, Andy started a hospitality marketing business, Duck and Olive Hospitality Solutions, but it couldn't take off. Later, he started a consultancy business and started doing consultancy, but soon realized that he had no passion for it. Andy started researching personal brands and listened to a Dave's podcast in which he mentioned how he built a massive brand on the back of his personal brand. This sparked Andy's interest, and at the time, he observed a lot of chef and food creators becoming viral on TikTok, and as he knew cooking, he felt confident that he too can produce such videos. So, Andy decided to produce cooking videos. Also, at the time, Caitlin inspired him to create content. So, Andy started producing TikTok videos from November 11th, 2021. When he started cooking at home, he realized that it was very different from the commercial cooking. So, Andy started learning home cooking and documenting this journey. He also started learning filming with a camera and video editing. Andy started publishing videos daily, and people started loving his Hey Babe series and easy-to-cook meals, and within just 6 months, he gained 1 million followers on TikTok. Andy decided to seriously work on producing videos and share his 20 years of cooking experience. A year after working on TikTok, Andy realized that the real growth was in the long-form content, so he started publishing cooking videos on his Andy Cooks YouTube channel. From 2022, he started seriously working on his channel with an intention of becoming a full-time YouTuber. Now, YouTube is his main focus. Currently, Andy has more than 5.6 million subscribers on YouTube and earns from ads, merchandise, and sponsorships. His goal with his videos has been to share his love for food and inspire home cooks to be better cooks. Andy has more than 16 million followers across all his socials and has a small team helping with his social media business. Andy christened all his socials as Andy Cooks, as it's catchier than his full name. Initially, he used to film with a Sony A6100 camera. Later, he started using multiple cameras, including a GoPro. He edits the videos with Adobe Premiere Pro. Currently, Andy and his team films from his home on the Sunshine Coast, but he is building his studio in Sydney and intends to move there. Andy also has a secondary YouTube channel, Back of House, on which he has 100,000 subscribers. In 2023, Andy published his book, Andy Cooks, the Cookbook. As he is a fan of hardcopy cookbooks, he launched his cookbook only in hardcover and not as an ebook. Being authentic is one of the main reasons for Andy's success as a content creator. He also researches and reads a lot. Andy started with publishing a video daily. This gave his YouTube channel momentum. Later, to improve his quality, he started publishing every other day. Currently, he is publishing once a week. Andy won the 2023 Top Creator Award from YouTube, and in the same year, He was nominated for TikTok Creator of the Year. Now let's take a brief look at his varied career. After studying at chef's training school, Andy started working at the Ed Brown's Cafe in New Zealand and then started working at Duzengoff Cafe in Auckland. He worked there until 21. As Andy always dreamt of traveling to Europe, at 21, he landed in London and started working at Tom's Kitchen. There, he worked under the twin brother of Tom Atkins, Rob Atkins. After working there for a couple of years, Andy moved on to the Roof Gardens restaurant, and after working there for around 8 months, he rejoined Tom's Kitchen where he worked for 6 months before joining E&O in Notting Hill. After working at E&O for 18 months, Andy joined the Botanist restaurant in Chelsea, but as he found working there to be chaotic, he didn't last long. Then, at 24, Andy was offered a head chef role at the Great Eastern Dining Room in Shoreditch, and after working there for a little over 18 months, he started working at the Orange Pub where he worked as a sous chef for 18 months. He worked in London for 7 years and learned to cook proper food and manage kitchens in that city. After working at the Orange Pub in 2012, Andy moved to Sydney and worked at the Felix restaurant for a year. Then, he moved to Melbourne and started working as a head chef at Gill's Diner. After working there for a couple of years, the restaurant was sold to a few Italians. So, Andy quit that job and started working as a head chef at Entrecote. Then, he started working as an executive chef at St. Ollie Coffee Roasters in South Melbourne. He also did consulting for a restaurant in Singapore. Then, in 2017, Andy was offered a corporate executive chef role at the Emirates Leisure Retail, Australia and New Zealand. Andy had 7 executive chefs underneath him, and it was an office job which didn't involve cooking. It involved airport and hospital retail and a lot of traveling. Then, as previously mentioned, Andy started a hospitality marketing business followed by a consultancy business and later became a content creator. When he reached 1 million followers on TikTok, Kilcoy Global Foods reached out to him and offered him a job of running their test kitchen. So, Andy started working full-time at that job and was also producing content full-time, even though at the time, he wasn't earning with the latter. After 6 months, Andy decided to completely focus on content creation, and so he decided to drop out from Kilcoy, but he was offered to be an executive chef and brand ambassador for the brand, without requiring attending the kitchen. While working in the UK, Andy used to work hard and party hard. He used to drink heavily to relieve from the pressure of his strenuous job, which demanded cooking 80 hours a week, but soon this habit became the norm, and this continued even when he moved to Australia. While working at St. Ollie, Andy realized his addiction and wanted to get rid of it. He tried for a year, but couldn't go anywhere. So, he took 2 months off from his job and went to a week-long detox program and then took a 30-day rehab program, and this put a full stop to his drinking. Now, let's take a brief look at his personal life. Andy met his wife Caitlin Flood through his friend. Caitlin visited his restaurant in Melbourne, and this started their relationship. Caitlin, aka Babe, is an Australian and hails from Sunshine Coast. She has a background in marketing and commerce and does the brand dealing for Andy Cooks. Andy lives in the Sunshine Coast, and his future plan is to produce a TV show. Now enjoy a few tidbits about him. Andy has been a petrol head since a young age and loves watching F1, and his favorite car is Ferrari F40. He also loves motorcycles. He works out a lot at the gym. Before becoming a content creator, Andy never cooked at home except on birthdays and Christmas. Andy enjoys the content of Joshua Weissman and Alex of French Guy Cooking. He admires Gordon Ramsay. Andy likes remote control planes and kite surfing and hates okra due to its sliminess. He loves the Indian and Italian cuisines and is comfortable in Southeast Asian, Central Asian, and Western cuisines. Andy's favorite recipes are biryani, burrata with blistered tomatoes, and 7-hour lamb shoulder. Bill Gates and George W. Bush are some of his notable restaurant diners. Andy is a cinephile and loves kimchi fried rice, sandwiches, and burgers, and his favorite culinary kid is mandolin. His dream is to cook for Fergus Henderson, Stephen Fry, and Samuel Leroy Jackson. So, how are you inspired by Andy Hearnden's story? Please comment below. If you are into reading, I've also written his story on my website. Find the link in this video's description. For more success stories of your favorite YouTubers, please subscribe to my channel.